Okay, first off, don't mind my hair. My hair's having a mind of its own today. So just bear with me. I look like I have a mohawk going on right now, but it's okay. It's all right. I'm going to get through it. Hold on. So, what I included in your packets the last time, well, this week, is I included Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets novel studies. Okay? And I get it if you guys are having a hard time with reading Harry Potter or listening to me read it. I get it. But I thought that it would still be beneficial if we went ahead. Breathe, Lydia. Okay. I thought it would be beneficial if we went ahead and went over the answers from me to you. Okay, that way you're not like super stressed about it. Especially over the first 6 chapters, because it's been a while. I mean, I started reading chapter 6 in 2 weeks ago when this started. So, and we're almost finished with the book. So, yeah, that sounds about right. So, decaf. So, here's what we're going to do. I am going to do as many chapters as I can tonight, up to chapter 15 through 17. And then we'll do the last little part together. And then I want you guys to try to do the test on your own. And we'll go over the test answers in a couple of days. Okay? All right. So you should, in your packet, your first page should look like this: the vocabulary study. Okay, with the vocabulary answers and the stuff like that. So let me get a pen. All right, so the first word we have is enraged. Now, first let's go over directions first, okay? So the first part of your vocab study is you have matchup. Match the words in the left column to their definitions in the right column. You have enraged, rooted, gingerly, frantically, coils, and gibber. Okay? And then your definitions are planted firmly, desperately or wildly, extremely angry, wound, connected spirals, to babble or speak meaningless sounds, and very carefully and cautiously. So those are your choices. So the first word we have is enraged. Now, if you guys remember how Uncle Vernon was in the first couple chapters, he wasn't a very nice guy. So when he was enraged, that means that he was very extremely angry. So enraged, you're going to draw a line from enraged to extremely angry. So boom. Okay. The next one is rooted. So when something is rooted into the ground or is rooted into a spot, that means that it's planted firmly. Planted firmly. So that's the definition for that one. So enraged, extremely angry, rooted, planted firmly. Okay. Our next word is gingerly. So when you're talking about gingerly, you're not talking about ginger that's a food. You're talking about being very careful and light to the touch with it. So gingerly means very carefully and cautiously. Okay? Very carefully and cautiously. Okay? Our next word is frantically. Now, you guys know that I get frantic sometimes, and it's not that I'm frantic because I'm angry. I'm frantic because I'm running around like crazy and I'm doing a hundred other things. So when you're talking, sorry, when you're talking about somebody being frantic, that means they're doing it in a desperate way or in a wild way. So frantically means desperately or wildly. Okay? desperately or wildly. So now we have two words left. We have coils and gibber. And we only have two choices left for the definitions. We have wound connected spirals and to babble or speak in meaningless sounds. So our first word, one of our last words is coils. So if you guys remember when we talk about snakes, snakes kind of coil their bodies around their heads and they're kind of like in a tight little circle. That's what coils means. So coils means that they are wound connected spirals. Okay? And then, of course, our last word is gibber, which means to babble or speak in meaningless sounds. Okay? So that's what your matching should look like. And if it doesn't, you can go ahead and fix it. Okay? Our next part of our novel study is a fill in the blank portion for the vocabulary words that we just went over. So all you're doing here is you're completing each sentence by filling in the blanks with the provided vocabulary word. So you have enraged, rooted, gingerly, frantically, coils, and gibber. So, number one, Gina blank ran around the house looking for the keys. Number one on the fill in the blank is frantically. Frantically. Gina frantically ran around the house looking for her keys. Okay, number two, Josie became blank when her sister accidentally sprayed ketchup on her. Number two is enraged. Josie became enraged when her sister accidentally sprayed ketchup on her. So number two is enraged. Okay, number three. The snake's body was in blank inside the basket, and it raised its head when the man played music on a flute. I just talked about this when I talked about the word coils, that a snake wraps its body around its head and kind of in a spiral. So number three is coils. Number three is coils, just like that. Okay, number four. I tiptoed blank through the room so that I wouldn't wake up my brother. Number four is gingerly. Gingerly. I tiptoed gingerly through the room so I wouldn't wake up my brother. Gingerly. Okay, number five. Michael could only blank when the teacher called on him in class. Number five, if you use your context clues, should be gibber. Okay? Gibber. Michael could only gibber when the teacher called on him in class. And then lastly, number six, when the principal called Carl's name to say he had won a school prize, Carl was so stunned that he stood rooted to the spot for a minute. Rooted. On the little extra, what do you know so far about the character Voldemort? So that's just a little bit of extra information if you want to jot that down. You know that Voldemort's an evil wizard. You know that Voldemort's an evil wizard who killed Harry's parents. He also tried to kill Harry, but the curse did not work and Harry is still alive. when his curse did not work on Harry, Voldemort lost his power and he has gone away. So that's why there was a celebration at the beginning of the book, because Voldemort was not around anymore. Okay. The next page of your novel study. This one shouldn't be too hard to go through. It should go fairly quickly, I think. The only thing is I did not write down the short answer portions, but I will talk about what the short answer portions are. Okay, so the next page on your novel study packet should look like this for chapters 1 and 2. Understanding the story. And it's the multiple choice and then the short answer questions. It doesn't take very long to answer these. So on number 1, when Harry lives with the Dursleys, where does he stay? A, in the attic, B, in the basement, C, in a woodshed, or D, in a cupboard under the stairs? The answer is D, because there is a whole lot of talking about the cupboard under the stairs. Okay. And then number 2, what is the shape of the scar on Harry's forehead? That's really easy. That is B, a lightning bolt. Your other choices were a skull, a snake, and a cross. But we all know it's a lightning bolt. Okay. Okay, the short answer portion, number 3. In chapter 1, several peculiar occurrences take place throughout the day on which Harry is delivered to the Dursleys. List at least 3 of these peculiar things. So, when they talk about the peculiar things, the odd things that happen, well, the tabby cat on the corner of Privet Drive, that's one of them. Uncle Vernon sees it reading a map. Okay, that those two paired together. The owls flying in the daytime, the strangely dressed people that are in cloaks and brightly colored robes. A stranger in a violet cloak bumps into Uncle Vernon and gives him a hug. The shooting stars. Any of those would have worked for the 3 different occurrences from chapter 1 that were odd. Number 4, explain why Dumbledore thinks it's best to leave Harry with the Dursleys when Harry is just a baby. The reason why Dumbledore left Harry at the Dursleys is because he was famous. From the time that he was that little itty bitty baby, he was famous. So it was better to leave him with the Dursleys and leave him growing up in a muggle world than growing up with all of that fame. Sorry. All of that fame to his name, knowing that he was the boy who lived and who made Voldemort basically disappear. He thought that Harry would be happy and safe growing up in the Muggle world, which we obviously know that wasn't the case when it came to the Dursleys. So, the last one for chapters 1 and 2 for the little extra, if you did this, the question was, who is the favorite child in the Dursleys' household? How can you tell? How does the Dursleys' treatment of Harry make you feel? So we know that the favorite child is Dudley. And we know that because Dudley is really, really spoiled. If you remember from chapters 2, he got like 40 birthday presents or close to 40. So we know that he's spoiled. And he has an entire room that's just his toys that he doesn't play with. So, and as far as how Harry's treatment makes you feel, that's really your opinion. Obviously, you have to feel bad for the kid because he's basically a servant living in his aunt and uncle's house, and he gets treated pretty poorly. So, but that's chapters 1 and 2. Next video will be chapters 3 and 4. So stay with me.